I've been able to get into a flow state for 6 hours every single day, and sometimes even 12 hours a day on my business. And while you are scrambling, looking for the best morning routine you can find, you're getting absolutely destroyed by the entrepreneurs who can actually focus, who have actually done 10 times more work than you in a day. And you wonder why you can't seem to get any clients or make money online. And after coaching 50 plus entrepreneurs to get into a flow state for 6 hours every single day, I noticed 4 big mistakes that every single one of these entrepreneurs were making that caused them to never actually focus and be productive in a day. So by the end of this video, getting into a flow state will feel like walking in a park, because trust me, I've faced every single one of these problems, and as soon as I solved especially the last one, I was able to focus 8 hours a day on my business with no issue. And don't worry, I'm not going to waste your time anymore. The first mistake most entrepreneurs make is not understanding that you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fail to the level of your systems. You see, I bet you can relate to this as well. I would always have these super productive days where I complete everything on my to-do list. I complete like an entire week's worth of work for my business, and I feel super happy about myself at the end of the day. I feel super proud, and then the next day comes along and I'm just super unproductive. Like, I don't do any work, I just kind of scroll on YouTube for like 8 hours in a day, and then I wonder why my business is not growing. This is what happens to 99% of entrepreneurs, and it's simply because they rely on goals instead of systems. Because when I was in this cycle, I didn't have a system to help me focus. I didn't have a system to help me stay productive, and that's when I started to create like a to-do list. I started to create like a Google Calendar using different productivity hacks that worked for me, you know, optimizing my sleep, optimizing, you know, my health as well, my diet, so I could focus. When you implement the systems, everything falls into place, and then your next focus is actually how to grow the business. So a great way to start is by creating something called a deep work ritual. Now, a deep work ritual is kind of like a set of rules you follow in the day before you start your deep work sessions. Like, for example, my deep work ritual is going to sound really weird, but basically I do 5 minutes of exercise. So I usually do like 75 push-ups in that time. I then put on some ambience, I grab a glass of water, I close my door, and that's basically it. Every single time I do those 4 actions, my brain gets into the work mode and it realizes that, okay, now it's time to lock in and get into a flow state. It's not time to like scroll on reels, you know? Some people say this is a flow ritual or like a routine, but it's not really a routine. It's more about trying to reduce the mental resistance using systems instead of relying on goals or just your discipline in the day to show up, okay? Because usually what happens is you'll go through this cycle where day 1 you're super productive, day 2 you're super unproductive, day 3 you're super productive, and it just keeps on repeating, you know? Now, the second mistake I see so many entrepreneurs making is trying to optimize their focus instead of optimizing their breaks. Because I'll tell you this right now, you do not have a problem with focus, you have a problem with optimizing and avoiding stimulation inside your breaks. So let me explain. I remember I had this friend, right, around 2 years ago, who was basically in the same business model as me. Every single night we would go on calls together, we would talk about like our business, how it's doing, different things we've tried to get clients and stuff like that. And every single day for like an entire month, I remember my friend would talk to me like, okay, I did 2 hours of work in the morning and I just went on video games. I went on Minecraft, bro, and then I just started scrolling, to be honest. Every single day for like a month. And it got so frustrating to the point where he kept on complaining why he wasn't seeing results in business. When really he could have avoided and done so much more work in a flow state if he simply optimized his breaks. Because what he would do is he would start with the 2-hour work block in the morning. He'd be super focused. He would go on his break and instantly just go on a dopamine frenzy. I'm talking, he would load up like 50 reels on the go. He would be playing video games at the same time, and then like 5 minutes later, he would expect to just get back to work straight away. When you really just raise your dopamine to the point where it's just unnatural, it's not the proper dopamine balance for work, you will not get back to work. You'll stay there for the entire day and you'll be constantly trying to meet this new high. You know, so many times I went on my phone just saying 5 more minutes on my phone in this break won't hurt me, it won't really ruin my focus, but it did. Because that 5 minutes would turn into an hour and then we'll get back to work. And what you're doing is you're basically telling your brain that it's time for relaxing, it's time for not really doing anything, it's time to waste time. When really no, you're still meant to be doing work, okay? So please, in your breaks, don't do anything stimulating, and instead what I recommend you do is something called focus breath work. Focus breath work is a special type of breathing that allows you to stay in the frequency to work. Now please, even if you do this for 1 minute, I'm not even joking you will really improve your focus. Now, if the focus breathing doesn't work, I usually like to do like 5 minutes of exercise. So I do like as many push-ups I can do in 5 minutes. And what it does is it releases endorphins inside the brain, which is one of the brain chemicals that is required to get into a flow state and is actually released during a flow state, okay? So if you literally just do those 2 things, it will really help you. Do not be like my friend, okay? Then the third mistake I see so many entrepreneurs making, and remember that the fourth one I'm about to go over is like really bad, bro. If you do this, you can just say goodbye to your business and you can go back to a 9 to 5. 5. The third one is sacrificing sleep for more work. Because I remember a point in my business where I would lock myself in my room for like multiple hours every single day until like 9 p.m. And every single time we got to that point, I would say, okay, I've done enough work, I can stop now. But then it would just be like this thought in the back of my mind telling me that you're in a flow state right now, let's carry on working. And so I would keep on working, I would keep on focusing, I would keep on trying to do more work. And 5 minutes will turn into 5 hours. It's 1 a.m. right now and my head has just fallen on the desk. You know, the entire week later, I can't even show up to any sales calls. I can't make content for my business because my eyes can't stay open. It ruined everything inside my business for months, and I got into this cycle where I was constantly trying to catch up on my sleep, but also try and do more work. And this is the worst place you can be as an entrepreneur. You see, the last part of a flow state is something called recovery, and this actually comes after the flow state. But basically, this is like the most important stage inside of the flow cycle, because a flow state uses 8 of the most potent brain chemicals inside the brain, like, you know, serotonin, dopamine, endorphin, stuff like that. And when you do not give your brain the chance to recover or rest, you will never get into a flow state ever again. It's as simple as that, bro. So you need to have that time, like sleeping properly, where you actually rest your brain. I'm telling you, bro, this is a mistake I see so many entrepreneurs making. If they simply just slept for like 8 hours, bro, they will be on 10k per month or 100k per month by now. When you're in a flow state, you're 500% more productive, which means even if you're in a flow state for like 2 hours in a day, it's gonna be so much better than 12 hours trying to focus and doing no work whatsoever when you're still super tired. So don't fuck up your sleep for more work, please, I'm begging you, bro. So now we're gonna move on to the final mistake I see so many entrepreneurs making. And like I said at the start of the video, this is the most important one, and you probably know what it is. It's something called burnout. Burnout is like the complete opposite of flow state if you think about it. In flow, you're super focused, you have no thoughts, you're super happy while you're working. And the reason why I wanted to include this is because it's basically every single entrepreneur experiences burnout at some point. I remember like 2 years ago in my first business, I went through this cycle. Basically, I just signed my first corporate client, which is amazing, you know, I'm super happy with myself. But like, I could not bring myself to do the work. Because before this, I'd been outreaching for like 13 hours a day. I couldn't deliver for this client, and that stress starts to build up. And eventually, I just said, get someone with a copywriter, you know, because I can't focus. And so I got into this cycle where I just play video games all day, I'll just scroll all day, I don't do any work, and I wouldn't grow my business at all. And I guarantee if I didn't actually implement ways to reduce the burnout, I would not be making this video right now. Instead of playing like Overwatch 2. Now, the reason why it affects entrepreneurs specifically is because entrepreneurs do not have a set time they have to clock out and clock in, not like a 9 to 5. Right? They can basically make up however long they want. They can work for 1 hour a day if they wanted to. They can work for 10 hours. They can work for 20 hours if they wanted to. So what I want you to do from now on is I want you to pick a time in the day where you have that cut-off point where you don't do any work. You just simply rest. And I don't mean go and play some super stimulating game for like 5 hours. I'm talking about sleeping, reading a book, going out in nature, talking to your friends. If you go from intense focus to intense recovery, your brain will be able to make that switch much quicker. You'll be able to go from scrolling to working instantly. So like a few months ago, I implemented this change, and I basically never work past 8 p.m. Some days I have to because like I've got client calls and stuff like that, but most of the days I finish my work at 8 p.m. So these are the 4 mistakes I see so many entrepreneurs making that are stopping them from getting to a flow state. And I'm telling you right now, if you just solve one of these, especially the burnout one, the last one, you'll be able to get into a flow state easily. And I'm not lying to you here, because after helping coaching 50 plus entrepreneurs to get into a flow state, fix their productivity, these are the 4 things I helped them solve, and they instantly were able to focus. Okay? And by the way, if you're a young entrepreneur who wants to get into a flow state for 6 plus hours in a day, completely blow up your business, make more money online, and live a life of freedom, click the first thing in the description to join my free community where you get personal advice from me. Okay? Goodbye, have a nice day. You'll get on your face again. Goodbye.